This video I'm going to talk about advanced deformers. So here I've got a Polygon Cube and I've just duplicated it twice. Now if we look at the transforms, this is just moved back in Z, value of 4, and this one a value of 8. Now I haven't frozen these, and the only reason I haven't frozen the transformation on these is because I'm going to be dealing with the vertices, and I'm going to show you how to make blend shapes. Now, the blend shapes are nothing but a delta between vertices, so I can modify the vertices here and also over here. And a blend shape is nothing but just being able to move back and forth between different vertice shapes, or the delta between them. Now, the positions of these vertices is relative to the object and its transform, and so I want the positions of these vertices to be relative to their transform, so it were as if they were here at the origin with this first one. I hope that makes sense. Okay, but so let's. So what I'm going to do is go to the vertices here, and let's scale them. And I'm also going to move them up a little bit so that this is right on the, snap these to the grid. Okay, so I've got a tall, and then with this one, why don't I do something like a, maybe, why don't I make these round? So I'm just going to grab the center, and so I can scale this way, and then I can scale that way, and so that's pretty much making the object round. And while I'm at it, why don't I just make it even a little shorter. And again, what I'll do is move these down here. And this row here, I'll just snap it to the grid. Okay, so I've got tall and square. And so the same object, the same vertices, the same vertice ID on each one of these. So for example, if I select that, I were to show you, well, I selected it here. Let me go to my script editor. So I selected vertex 8, and if I select the same one over here, it's vertex number 8. So all these vertices, they'll have an ID, and so now what I'm going to do is go to, so I'm going to select this one first, this one next, and then this one last. And I'm going to go to rigging, deform, I'm going to say blend shape, option box, I'm going to give it a node name, cube, blend shape. Let's hit apply. Close. Okay, and if I select either of these, this one turns magenta, and so these are controlling that one. So if I wanted to, I could just maybe make a new layer, and this makes a new layer and assigns the selected objects. So I could just call this blends, and then with the V key here I could just turn them off or hide them. So if I go up to Windows, Animation Editors, let's go to the, I guess it's the Shape Editor. So I've got this cube, and now I can make it short and fat, and I can make it tall. And I can do both. I can combine them. And all the stuff can be keyframed as well. So video games will use blend shapes. They're a lot more expensive for memory in the CPU than just joints in the GPU, I guess. But they are used quite a bit in games, so I just wanted to show you that these exist, and you can also keyframe them. So from a frame 0, I key them both, and then I come up here to frame 20, and I turn the 1 on, and then go to frame 40, and turn the other one on and the other one off, and then to frame 60, turn them both on. Frame 80, and turn them both off. And let's just move this down to 80 and play the animation. So that's blend shapes. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here. I've got these blend shapes on, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete the history, and just so you can see over here under inputs, if I've selected the cube, this is where our blend shape is, and if I click the blend shape node, here I can see the different blend shapes. The red means that they've got a keys on them, and you can see the values update as I move through if I scrub the timeline. So I'm going to delete the blend shapes off of this model, and to do that all I've got to do is select it and hit delete history. Bam, it's gone. Blend shape node is gone. And I could also make these visible again, and I could delete those. I don't need them anymore. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is show you another type of deformer. Now this is just kind of cool. It's helpful in modeling, and you could also use it in games, but it would be, but not directly. To my knowledge, game engines at this point don't support lattice deformers. Perhaps they do. Maybe there's a new plugin or something feature that I'm unaware of. I'm sure they most definitely could if somebody were to implement them. But what I'm going to show you here is a lattice deformer. So that's under Deform, Lattice, go to the option box, and let's just go to the default, and the default is 225. So what I'm going to do here is just go to, well, let's just hit create. And so this right here is my lattice deformer. And under shapes, it's a freeform deformation lattice. Now if I were to select this, I can increase the lattice divisions, and I'm just clicking that, middle mouse dragging in the scene, so I can change the number of divisions there. Same thing here. But I'll make these divisions just the 2, 3, and 2. Okay, so got this lattice division, and maybe I should go to my cube and center pivot, and let's just scale it in a little bit so that we can see the difference between the actual cube and the lattice. So if I select that, that's the lattice. Let's go to W. So here I can right click, go to lattice point, grab that, move it. And so what happens here is that the lattice will just deform parts of the object. Okay, so let's come back and undo that. The only way to get rid of a lattice is like joints or like the blend shapes. If I click on the cube, delete history. Now it's gone. So let's scale this back to 1. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to modeling, mesh, and I'm going to smooth, subdivide the this mesh, and I'm going to give it 2 divisions. So now I've got a much higher resolution mesh, and I can delete the history. Now I'm going to apply another lattice, and I think this will show maybe a little better how they work. Back under rigging, deform, lattice, and let's do 3, 3, 3, and create. Okay, so grab a lattice point, move it, and you can see that it's only moving the shape around in this kind of general quadrant. And here they're sort of pinned, and here they're moving. So lattice deformer is an extremely powerful way of modeling. So here it looks like I've made a tooth. So it's like modeling with a low-res cage around a higher resolution model. And you know, there's just a lot more you can do with this on a higher resolution model. It'd be it would be much more difficult to make all these changes, you know, manually with each vertex. And so lattice deformations can be used for animation. So, you know, we could come here and set a key on these. S to make a keyframe, or we could go under animation key, set key, and then we could go to frame 20 and maybe scale these out. And I've got my auto keyframe on, so the keyframe is already made. Go up here to frame 40, maybe even rotate this around, go up to frame 60, and we're going to change the rotation back. So I'll play up to frame 60 here. Okay, so let's play that. So lattices are very cool. The only thing though is these don't export to game engines. You could do it indirectly. The way to indirectly do it would be as if you were controlling maybe joints from a lattice. But the lattices don't work on joints. You would have to have like an in-between, some sort of an object that the joint was constrained to, so the joint would follow the object. And it's a little more work. But lattices are a very powerful way of deforming objects, and that's just one of many. So under deform, we've got this delta mush, curve warps, clusters, tension, shrink wrap, wires, all sorts of deformers. But the ones we use mostly in games are blend shapes and joints.